Bionicle is about the Toa, right? Larger-than-life elemental heroes fighting evil freaks such as goo, bugs, smart bugs, bugs with knees. That's the impression you'd get if you'd only interacted with the toys. If you'd been following any of the media in the brand's first 3 years, you'd know Bionicle's storytelling had actually been centered on the little guys, the Matoran. Then something weird happened in 2003. The protagonist Matoran, Takua, grew into the 7th Toa to fight the dad of the bugs with knees, who is a fart. As a 5-year-old, I couldn't have been more excited for 2004 to see our main character Takanuva and the Toa Nuva on exciting new Toa adventures through that weird underground door and onto the new wrong! Old man cyberpunk teenagers flashback. Hi, I'm Jett Kuso, back on the Kikanalo and continuing my year-by-year Bionicle retrospective series. Click up in the corner if you want to catch up on the last 3 videos in the series. 2004 marked a shift in the aesthetics of Bionicle. Gone is the jungle, the beach, the tundra, replaced by city jungle and city tundra. Gone too are the tribal Polynesian aesthetics, whole cloth. Could it be that LEGO was incentivized to change the visual direction after they were rightfully smacked for culture theft by Maori tribes, who are real people and not an aesthetic that you can just do whatever you want with? Could it be someone at LEGO watched Blade Runner and made that their entire personality? This era brought both a new setting, the high-tech island of Metru Nui, a new cast with some familiar names, and a new set of themes that were more in line with the cyberpunk genre than any of the visuals were. An oppressive police state, political subterfuge, prowling headhunters, cybernetic body modification, frisbee golf, and being a cross-wired freak who has weird dreams. Here's what we're working with toys-wise. 6 new Toa, duh, 6 new baddies, duh, 6 new Matoran, sliding into the Taraga/Borak Va price point. Also 1 new special Toa in the same price point as Takanuva and his corpse bike. I guess that sold well, so they did it again. And then 3 new Titan figures. I'll analyze each wave in turn, but first we do gotta talk about frisbees.
The city of Metru Nui is in peril. It's the end of the line, Toa. The last Toa is in grave danger. No! Can these 6 young heroes prove they are worthy of the name? Autobots! Bionicle 2. Legends of Bionicle 2.
Frisbees were a prominent and beloved element of 2001's McDonald's Matoran. The Frisbee piece already existed from the Throwbots/Slizers, a line which tried to make its Frisbees into TCG-esque collectibles with different rarities, unique art, and power levels, marked by green pips on the side. In early Bionicle, the Frisbees had never really been a focus because masks, which were the style at the time, took the forefront collectible trinket spot. Mask collectibles were followed by Chrono collectibles, and then Crota collectibles, and then in the Metru Nui line, Frisbees were back as a main focus, now dubbed Kanoka Frisbees. A Kanoka boxlet would come with 2 discs and 1 launcher, the very same kind of launcher that was included with the Matoran. Yeah. They do launch a disc. It works okay. Compared to the flicky throw arms, launchers impart more speed and more impact while being quite a bit easier to aim. What is it that makes these discs collectibles if there are only 6 color schemes? Well, get this, they got numbers on them. Our protagonist Red One is a mask maker in this story, trying to create the rare Mask of Time. It's a major plot point with very little significance. But it necessitates the search for a really good kind of Frisbee, ones you can make the Mask of Time out of. So, at least it's a play pattern, one that both the Toa and the Matoran of the story participate in. I thought the Matoran sets were pretty nifty as a kid. We got all 6 of them before we got any of the Toa, and I saw them as a pretty obvious improvement over the prior sets from this price point. Dorito-shaped bodies, every one of the elements represented, dual color masks, and, get this, some posability. The cuteness of the Matoran had been lost, exchanged now for a look far more appealing to the little boy demographics' aging cool guy sensibilities. These characters themselves are fairly incidental, with only one exception. They're just some random Matoran who happen to discover the locations of the Great Frisbees, which the Toa Metru will eventually go on a quest to find. Yet one of them, this one of them, is Schmo. The same Schmo from the online game, a servant of Makuta selling infected Koli balls to spread Makuta's corruption across Pokoro.
Is that blackface, dude?
And somehow the story team remembered that. It wasn't a name just pulled randomly from a hat of established characters. Schmo is the dirt one
Hey, it's Schmo. I think.
Schmo?
What if I'm wrong?
Schmo is the dirt one to end all dirt ones, starting as just a petty carver's rivalry with Onewa. Is it Onewa or Onua?
I don't know.
He works with the Dark Hunters to trick the other Matoran, and then he gets lost at sea, and then the Makuta finds him and becomes the guy's little secret crony. It's a wildly consistent narrative thread that holds through, like, all of Bionicle's non-linear storytelling. This guy is a bastard, and he will continue to be a bastard. The next wave were the 6 Toa sets. The Rakshi's enhanced posability must have gone over pretty well, because after 3 prior years of starfish Toa, the Toa Metru get to have knees. Even better than the Rakshi, they get to have elbows! I know most Bionicle fans prefer the dynamism of the Anika style build, or the nostalgia of the Mata style build, but for me, the Toa Metru build was the most exciting upgrade Bionicle had or would ever make. Compared to later Bionicles, yeah, their heads are disproportionately big, and yeah, they all have pretty bland muted color palettes, and yeah, their gearbox gimmicks work pretty dumbly because of the floppy elbows, and yeah, they're all basically the same build except for their masks and tools and apparently a small amount of height variation. That's all true, and if overwhelming evidence towards something's inferiority makes you like it less, then sure, good for you! But I'm not like other girls. I like that they're small because they fit better in my tiny little kid hands. Eh. To me, the Toa Metru look like they could occupy the same reality as the Toa Nuva, and I like that. Funny enough, the element that many people, including me as a child, consider to be an upgrade, I consider the worst element of the Toa Metru. Their masks. Not the designs. The designs are absolutely gorgeous, especially compared to the lumpy, bumpy blobs the Toa Nuva had. It's the way they attach, axle connection, just like Taka Nuva. I had praised the Mask of Light for its axle connection, because it made him feel stronger than the other Toa because his mask can't get knocked off. Though because the Toa Metru, much weaker in continuity than the Toa Nuva, continued this trend, it's clear the change wasn't really in service of ludonarrative toy play, something that everyone thinks about. They just wanted kids to stop complaining about the masks falling off all the time. I get it. I was one of those kids, so I liked the change back in the day, but I hadn't realized how much play pattern would be lost with the abandonment of the combat features. It would have been really fun to try knocking masks off with a Kanoka Frisbee, or a Zammer Sphere, or a, not you, or a Midax Sky Blaster. Axle masks make the gearbox a rather vestigial element. The Toa Mata swing their weapons to bash masks off, but the Toa Metru, like the saddest kid on the playground, swing with no purpose at all. This guy's weapon is a frisbee gun! What's he gotta move his arms for? And who is this new red guy anyway? Vakama? But I thought this guy was Vakama. LEGO would never give 2 characters the same name. So you see, Metru Nui is a prequel, like Wicked, except instead of learning about the unexpected sympathetic motivations of a villain, we learned that Old Man Vakama is a lying son of a bog leech. This guy knew about Makuta the whole time. He knew about the Borok. He knew that they were living on the face of a sleeping giant robot the whole time and pretended to be divining prophecies from the flame. Gaslight, gatekeep, gadonka. Bionicle storytelling was already strange enough. Non-linear, multimedia, terribly vague. And now the young audience was expected to grasp an entire year's worth of prequelizing? The Toa canisters came out right away. The villain toys wouldn't come out till months later. And the movie explaining how these old prunes used to be Toa didn't come out until October. 8 months in real time, which is about like 4 years in kids' time. For kids to have role-play scenarios for their figures, LEGO would need Metru Nui stories set after they become Toa, but before the story beats of the movie. Otherwise, they'd spoil the movie before it ever came out. How'd they solve it? Who were the villains of these in-between stories? You might as well ask what ruined the vocabulary of my entire generation, 'cause the answer is vines.
Why are you running?
Have anybody ever tell you you look like Beyonce?
Nah, they usually tell me I look like Shalissa.
Who the f is that?
Me, nigga.
No off-topic questions. Because I don't want to. No, permission denied. That's an off-topic questions. Next, you have been stopped.
Hey there, Borok. Yes, you, Borok, watching this video. Have you ever wanted to clean it all, but pesky annoyances keep getting in your way? Not those. I mean things like crumbs caught in the cracks and crevices of your keyboard, or surfaces that are way too hard to get at with a conventional duster. No need to worry with this video's sponsor, Fantic. The Fantic B10 Pro Max Electric Air Duster is here to help. Displayed collectibles like Bionicles can be a pain to dust, and I'm sick of buying disposable cans of air when a pocket-sized cordless solution is literally right there. With a brushless motor that goes
130,000
RPM and airflow speeds up to
65 meters per second.
Trust me, it's really fast. Various nozzle attachments and the adjustable gear speed means adjustable air speeds. So you can run it slow to inflate things like airbeds or kiddie pools or balloons, you whimsical bastard. If that's not enough cleaning for you, if you're more of a hobbyist than a collector, check out the Fantic F2 Master Mini cordless rotary tool. I've used it for gunpla customization in the past, but more recently I've been using it to trim and smooth and tidy up my 3D prints. Printed Bionicle parts, like my jointed Toa Mata limbs, legs and arms that move, they require a careful hand to clean up, and a tiny ergonomic rotary tool like this is way more convenient than a chunky corded Dremel tool. Easy and satisfying to pop it out, slide in a tool head from the spinner of options, pick a speed, buzz buzz, trim away a pesky support, and put it away without any wasted time. I've ended up using both of these tools way more often than I ever thought I would. They're so convenient that they've got me solving problems that, before, I would have put off for a long time or never bothered with in the first place. I am not good at keeping my displayed collectibles dusted, but this makes it easy. Click on the links in the description, select the Amazon coupon, and use my code JETB10PM for a total of 44% off of the Fantic Electric Air Duster. Or, for the mini cordless rotary tool, select the coupon and use code JKF2MASTER for 38% off total. So as you can tell, it took a long time to get this Bionicle video made after the first one, cause for a while there on the channel I've had to prioritize dedicated sponsored videos to make ends meet. I don't want another year-long break between episodes, so even though I really don't like asking for money, I'm advertising my Patreon, and this time I'm incentivizing it. If we can get 200 new patrons on patreon.com/Jett Kuso, I'll immediately begin work on the 2005 Bionicle video. If we can get 500 new patrons, I'll make a bonus video exclusive to Patreon going over a lot of the weirder peripheral Bionicle stuff that I've missed over the first 5 years. The big bulk bins of Bionicle parts, the Toa Metru toothbrushes, the web games, this Vahki Gauntlet. If you really like these videos, I would appreciate your support so I can make them a whole lot faster, because I like making them too. Patreon.com/Jett Kuso. The first Toa Metru medias that I recall were the exclusive comic books released inside Mega Lunchables boxes. Frustratingly short, lacking in context, the issue I got featured Toa Vahki and Whenua fighting a strange plant-like foe. Seeing as the last movie had ended with the discovery of Metru Nui, when I saw those Toa's names, I thought the Turaga must have been turned into Toa when they arrived in Metru Nui after the Mask of Light. Really, the entire year is Vahki retelling his past to the Matoran on the way to Metru Nui, which, to make it even more confusing, is the exact same shape as the island Mata Nui. Here we get to the unavoidable problem with this year's story. A true understanding of what the hell is going on requires a knowledge of Mata Nui's internal and external geometry. And the giant robot twist was still the best kept secret of the brand, so we didn't really have any chance at that when we were young. I'll try to tell you what it seemed like the story was, and then I'll tell you the story underneath the story. In a time before the time before time, the city of Metru Nui is an island on a sea of protodermis with 2 suns in the sky, where the Matoran population do inexplicable labor in service of the great spirit Mata Nui. The film followed the 6 eventual Turaga, starting as simple worker Matoran until Superman gives them drugs that make them tall and stupid. They embark on an adventure to learn their powers, grow up into their new bodies, and uncover a dark conspiracy. There's actually a good bit of surprisingly nuanced character drama. I know in my jokes I'm a bit dismissive towards Vahki, but he's actually a pretty relatable protagonist who undergoes genuine self-doubt that he has to overcome. The conspiracy involves the evil Makuta secretly taking the place of Turaga Duma, who is the mayor, and then vaguely cursing the Great Spirit into a deep slumber. The mechanism, not really elaborated on. Why? How? The suns in the sky go dark in a foretold double eclipse, to which the Toa Metru just kinda shrug and leave to go do something else. They gotta go free the working class, which has been shoved into balls by the government. There's a dumb pillar fight against Makuta, where Vahki sort of self-actualizes, and the Mask of Time continues to be the most powerful artifact to never do anything useful. They kinda yada yada over the Matoran rescue mission off-screen, cross the Sea of Protodermis, and go through a tunnel, sort of, and then the next thing you know, they've popped up on a new island with a water ocean and bright sunlight, where the Toa Metru sacrifice their powers to revive all of the Matoran, and Takua is there. After that, the first 3 years of Bionicle take place, and in the Mask of Light, they abandon the new island and go back down through the underground tunnel and return to Metru Nui. So it's an underground island in some way, and an underground ocean in some way, but the sky still has a sky with suns and stuff. Why'd they leave? Why'd they go back? What was Makuta trying to do at literally any point in the story? And how does that big mask fit behind Turaga Duma's little mask? So here's the story that we eventually learned, many, many years later. Through most of this film, the giant robot Mata Nui is flying through space. The island city of Metru Nui is quite literally his brain, sloshing around inside of his head, floating on a sea of protodermis, I presume as a sort of auto-leveling system. At some point after the Makuta puts him to sleep, he crash lands on the water planet Aqua Magna, ending up on his back with just his face sticking up out of the water. In lore, there's a big earthquake that happens. They called it the Great Cataclysm, but I have to guess it took him a minute to actually crash land. The robot's automatic camouflage system immediately activates, using protodermis to form an island in the shape of Metru Nui on top of his face, with trees and beaches and everything. The heroes have to cross that protodermis sea to get to the wall of Mata Nui's brain chamber, find a maintenance tunnel, and climb up to the new surface. And so after reawakening the Matoran, who have all lost their memories inside their little imprisonment balls, the Turaga bide their time waiting for the Makuta to be defeated and for the inside of the head, Metru Nui, to be safe so they can go back inside and reawaken Mata Nui. After the Metru Nui arc, the Matoran don't know about the giant robot. If you don't know about the giant robot, and no one in real life did either, the end of Mask of Light and the entirety of the prequel's finale are utterly incomprehensible, both in plot, geometry, pacing, and meaning. If you were a kid at the time, that kinda sucks, and you're probably confused as hell, and it makes for kind of a bad movie. But it's also the coolest possible thing that any kid's story has ever done. They put the macro scale mystery as a priority, sacrificing the micro scale to maintain one of the greatest plot twists of all time. We were still another 4 years away from the giant robot twist, but all of the groundwork was laid. It's kind of obvious in hindsight. The suns! Those were Mata Nui's eyes closing.
Bioquake?
Honestly, it was a worthwhile sacrifice to make, because I, as a kid, still thought it was a fun movie. The atmosphere had darkened, the character drama was deeper, the plot more complex than a simple quest, and the bad guys were pretty scary. Not you. Those ones. We'll talk about the Dark Hunters here in a second. Here's a question. If the movie covers the full stretch of time between the Toa Metru's origin story and them becoming Turaga, when do all of those other adventures happen? With the discs and the vines? Okay, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. More, yeah, there! Right there! This montage, where the Toa Metru go on a mission to find the Great Frisbees, a sort of Arthurian-style Holy Grail quest to prove they're actually Toa. During the temporal space of that montage, which seems trivially easy in the movie, there's a full off-screen arc about a sentient evil plant called the Morbuzak.
Morbius.
That's taking over the city and killing children. My Lunchables comic featured the Morbuzak. Some online games had Morbuzak vines, and their defeat was chronicled in the new novel series by Scholastic Books. In fact, let's do a brief book series tangent because I forgot about this in the last one. The Bionicle Chronicles series started in 2003, acting as a more canonical and more focused retelling of the first 3 years. Greg Farshti, who'd previously been the guy writing the comics, became the sole writer of the books, starting with Bionicle Adventures #1. It jumps straight to the Adventure Frisbee Vine quest.
What the f***, Richard?
This is where all of Bionicle starts to get incredibly Farshti-esque, in ways Bionicle would never and should never recover from. Complex plot lines, crazy character writing, way too many characters, and a degree of subtext and world building and backstory that should have never fit on the pages of novellas for second graders. But it does, and it's great. Many fans accept these novels as the truest Bionicle canon. The first 3 books, being an attempt at a more cohesive rewrite, often disagree with the events of the beloved point-and-click adventure games by Templar Studios. The very concept of canon begins to break down under the strain of multiple authors and the contradictory forces of artist versus team versus toy line versus childhood imagination. The movie, for example, wasn't written by Greg. So from this point forward in the series, I can't really claim to be telling you the truest Bionicle canon or whatever. I haven't even read all of the books or all of the comics, sue me. I'm a bit biased towards the medias and plot points that grabbed me the most as a kid. So I owned the Toa Metru, right? We nabbed up the 6 canisters right quick. We could make them do this. But that's about it, cause there was really nothing for them to fight, and there's no point in having them fight each other without the Rock'em Sock'em Robots mask gimmick. I wanted bad guys. I want vines.
Wait, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
I remember theorizing at the time what the Morbuzak toys were gonna look like when they came out. There's nothing less Lego-y than fully organic plant appendages, so how'd they pull that off?
They didn't. They only did the Vahki. Germany got the stones.
I haven't mentioned them yet, not even once, which you might not have noticed, cause no one thinks about the Vahki. No one wants to think about the Vahki. Roll the commercial.
In Metru Nui, the Vahki are spreading throughout the city, claiming to enforce the law. But instead, Matoran are disappearing.
That's crazy. What a funny fictional concept from the year 2004. Real law enforcement agents would never do something like that. Nostalgia is a great escape from the problems of today.
These new Vahki are highly advanced, equipped with powerful tools, and the awesome ability to transform. Their actions are suspicious, but their aim is clear. Bionicle, you must surrender or run, surrender or run, surrender, surrender, surrender.
In lore, the Vahki are like cops. Not exactly cops, they're robotic, unfeeling agents of a nation-state that's being gradually corrupted from within. They're under the complete executive control of Turaga Duma, the mayor, who's been replaced by the devil, and now is beginning to indiscriminately kidnap people and hide them away in cramped conditions where their bodies slowly deteriorate. I don't want to talk about the Vahki. And hey, that's fine! Why bother when there's guys right over there called Dark Hunters? Kreka and Nadiki are not sets that we bought. The price point was way too high. You know, $20, the current price of a single white sock. These sets were the codification of the Titan figure class of sets. Makuta was the first such set in the prior year, starting a trend away from the gimmicky, Technic-focused creature builds of the Motunui era, and into Bionicle's more focused action figure future. They're a bit simplistic. It took LEGO a few years to figure out how to really make robust figures at this scale, but Nadiki especially does have a great design. Taking the role of bounty hunters for hire, Kreka and Nadiki are the antagonists that actually get the most screen time in the movie, constantly hunting down the heroes by order of Turaga Duma, who also got a set. Bird. Little guy. No one's talking about this. These three sets combine into Ultimate Duma, which is this. Funny enough, Nadiki and Kreka and the bird do actually get absorbed by Makuta in the film, resulting in the body that Makuta has in the Mask of Light. So I guess that's where that comes from, despite him being canonically a fart. Compared to prior villains, these felt so abstract, such a high concept brand of evil following what we thought were far more simple brands of evil. The Borok were destroying things, the Rakshi were the sons of the devil, but the Dark Hunters, bounty hunters hired by the evil mayor to kill teenagers? That seems far-fetched. The mayor, a dude pretending to be another dude, allegedly in charge, yet still acting to subjugate society from within, manufacturing consent, steering the Vahki to do his bidding? The Vahki? The Vahki. Greg Farshti's least favorite Bionicle characters. Each Vahki has their own powers, each Vahki has their own theme, and of course we all know the names of the different Vahki, so there's no need to go over it now. As toys, they shoot frisbees out of their mouth parts, and I suppose they transform. Twist around the Vahki's arms and head, and they can use their weapons like stilts, like one of those Stiltwalker creature costumes. They kind of turn into spiders. In a lot of ways, the Vahki lack character. No charisma, especially not in the movie, where they're just mindless hordes. Without a Chrono-like gimmick, with a mechanical attack that's not quite as imposing because it has no real function, and with the Toa sets having the same size and the same points of articulation as the Vahki, they didn't have an intimidation factor backed up by the play features in the way that previous villains did. They're robots, they're drones, they aren't even intrinsically villainous. They're even meant to be the good guys, meant to keep the peace, meant to protect us because they're run by a state that's meant to protect us. These elements may have made me uninterested as a kid, but now it just earnestly frightens me. The only place where the Vahki shine is the Flash animations by Templar Studios, which I never saw as a youngin'. Templar understood the themes implied by a corrupt police force, and as with previous projects, they leaned into that darkness. Metru Nui under Turaga Duma, as portrayed here, is a true dystopia. The Vahki are the oppressive hands of the state. Matoran report each other for thought crime, slogans appear on screen. Quick work is good work. A busy Matoran is a happy Matoran. Obedience is happiness. Thoughts can be dangerous. To serve and protect, not the Matoran, but Turaga Duma. This is a world that trusts power so much, it allows the arms of power itself to be corrupted. If there's one big theme to Metru Nui, I would say it's corruption, in every sense of the word. The Matoran through Akmu, the Toa through Nadiki, who used to be on Lee Khan's team before he became a Dark Hunter, Metru Nui itself through Turaga Duma, and eventually these actions lead to the corruption of Mata Nui, the robot. And only one single man saw it coming. To the people of Metru Nui, he's Batman, he's Superman, a force of goodness that seems self-evident, making moves behind the surface, preparing for the worst, setting up his successors in secret because he knows he'll be killed for the good he's trying to do. Technically, he gets turned into an old man, then beefs it in a heroic sacrifice, but functionally they kill him. He's easily one of the coolest toys Bionicle has ever put out. Gleaming gold armor to evoke the Takanuva set from the prior year, 2 big swords that fit together to make a lava board, and he rides a big dinosaur cow. Although mechanically he's no different than the other Toa Metru, Lee Khan felt like a larger-than-life presence. And that extended all the way down to my feelings about the toy. It was endlessly cool when they'd release extra bonus Toa characters. In a story where the heroes start out as loser babies, Lee Khan was a hero you could look up to, with all of the awe and mystery of Takua, first meeting Tahu in the woods. That perspective of being a little guy looking up at someone big doesn't really go away in 2004's Bionicle stuff. Takua had to come of age before he became a Toa, but for the Toa Metru, their bigger bodies arrived well before they were ready. It's a more realistic experience in that way, an experience I wouldn't have until many years later. But when I did start to grow up, stories like this one were important for me to remember. In fact, I wish I had taken a few more lessons from it. I didn't like the Vahki, in part because I simply rejected the premise that cops could be bad guys. The dystopian cyberpunk storytelling of Metru Nui felt so far from reality back in 2004. Cops was on TV. Get 'em, cops! Get those poor people! The Matoran trusted the system. They trusted their duty to that system. They did their jobs to run their world. They granted executive power to the Turaga. They created peacekeepers to increase that power, and they trusted that the people in charge would do their duty well. They trusted the Orange Man, Nuparu, who canonically created the Vahki. In the end, all it took was one bad actor to take advantage of that trust, to stretch it thinner and thinner, to push back the line in the sand again and again and again, and by the time the population could realize something was wrong, it was too late, and their world had been sent crashing down because of it. Who is a hero in a story like this? Who gets to be a hero when the arbiters of the law no longer follow it? The Toa of Metru Nui are fugitives, terrorists, criminals, fakes, so say the man in charge. And they very nearly come to believe it before they rise to the occasion and become heroes. Not because they believe they are, but because they have to be. And yet, in a lot of ways, it's too little too late. They sort of defeat the Makuta, they sort of save the Matoran, but Mata Nui remains asleep because Vakama thinks his only responsibility is to get Lee Khan to save the day. He never considers that he really is the guy. And in that waiting for someone else to save the day is already lost. All they can do is run away, abandon their home, hide, and turn into little old guys while trying to cover up the past. I'm not gonna hold your hand and explain exactly how this story maps onto the situation our world is in right now. None of us are here for that comparison. But to act like the parallels don't exist would be to ignore the depth and truth in the art and to ignore the inescapable reality of what's happening in America. Don't pretend this story wasn't political before I made it political. Don't pretend that it isn't that deep, and don't pretend that you're capable of being a neutral bystander to atrocities because you're just some little guy who likes toys and games. Perhaps you're ignorant to it. And if this is falling on deaf ears, I pray ignorance is the only reason why. Regardless, if you don't try to stop it, if you wait for someone else to fix it, you're helping it happen. This isn't a tangent from a video about Bionicle. This is what Bionicle is about. That's what unity and duty means, and to that end, I've attached a fundraiser to this video and linked some resources below. If you're able, please support the fight against the real criminals and support the people being affected by the current, if you can even call them, policies. If you aren't able, please take care of yourself and protect the people in your community with every single chance you get. After Toa Khan's death, when the Matoran arrive on the shores of their new island home, a Matoran sits sullen with a broken mask. Vakama, now a Turaga, gives him Lee Khan's mask, a golden how, and as it fits to his face, we realize who this Matoran is to become. It's Jaller from the last one, eventual captain of the guard, imbued now with a sense of purpose to protect his neighbors against any of the threats that may come. That moment has always stood out to me stronger than any other in the film. We're the only heroes we're ever gonna get, so be one. While some of the grand mythic storytelling of Bionicle was lost when Greg Farshty became the lead writer, themes of creation versus destruction versus rebuilding that Christian Faber had established, in its place we get a stunning depth of characterization and world building. Greg had begun to tell his own story, a story he really deeply cared about that was already spilling out over the edges of what a toy line could contain. This deeper exploration of coming of age as the brand itself was entering a more mature era. That was a promise that Bionicle would continue to grow up with me. Yes, in the storytelling, but also in the toys. Bionicles, from this point forward, will only get cooler and cooler and cooler as it grows up. And now, with the flashback over and the story very neatly, linearly caught up to where we left off in 2003, we could get back to the real protagonists on their big adventure. Takanuva, Jaller, the Toa Metru. Wrong! Flashback within a flashback! Don't forget the off-screen puberty arc in the middle of the ending of the movie where they all get ugly and there's a big hot lip. Click subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And thanks to Fantic for sponsoring this video. This is Jett Kuso, and I'll see you next time. Hey patrons, thanks for supporting the channel, especially my Diamond patrons LUCID, LANA, CHOOKA, RAZU, RION, my Titan patrons 0107, Gusano, Banana Jones, Chell, Douglas Fern, HeartlineDai, my Hyper patrons Trouble, Mudorios, Orio, Forrest DC, Kevin Haji, Hateincarnate, and new base patron, Ms. Neon. Miss Neon. Patreon.com/Jett Kuso. Please go there, help support the channel. This is my Toa tool. It's a tool, it's not for violence.